CTE, or also known as chronic traumatic encephalopathy. And people used to get it mixed up and think it was dementia, but it's really not. It's kind of like dementia. They have like the same thing that can go on in your head, and this is all has to do with your brain. And it can cause an individual's brain to gradually over time deteriorate, and in the long run is eventually going to cause your brain to lose mass and pretty much just go brain dead. And to me, that's important to me because I play football and head injuries are a big thing. And one thing that the scientists try to do to help the football players not get a lot of concussions or anything is by making these type of helmets. All these helmets, that one with that number four is wearing, with the little horn thing pretty much in the front, that helps to absorb all the shocks that you're taking, all the type of hits you're taking. And a lot of the time people come flying by and go head first, and they teach you as a little kid not to go head first at all. And as a little kid too, I used to get a lot of concussions. And if I knew CTE back then and the different effects it can cause, I would definitely be careful and tell coaches I need to sit down, sit out, because I'd have a concussion, but I wouldn't let the trainers or coaches know, and I'll just keep playing because that's like the tough guy thing to do. And my mom's always telling me to make sure you tell your coach when you have a concussion or if your head starts ringing or anything like that. And that's another big thing I try to practice too, is to also always make sure my head is straight and helmet, always looking around for big guys coming at me in the games. And there's three main things to CTE effects. And like there's three stages, and one stage is like loss of memory, and that's just a little part. So loss of memory, like just like I said, in basketball game or in soccer games, the girls hit head, and then you start getting that little feeling like blurry eyes, because I've got that. Every athlete, I'm pretty sure, got that before. And that's one thing you gotta look for, is the blurry vision, and like sometimes they'll change their moods. Their moods will be changed. CTE can cause that. And the number two stage is bad symptoms of Parkinson's. You get some of those symptoms from Parkinson's disease, and those are like the speech impediment, like you can't talk good, you can't talk right, or you just lose your walking ability to walk anytime. And that's one thing you don't want too. Parkinson's disease is pretty much like CTE. Have the same effects, can cause a headache in life pretty much, and you don't want that. And there's stage three, and stage three is everything together. Parkinson's disease, dementia, all that, everything's just mixed together, and that's just the worst stage you don't want to be at, is stage three, because that's when things can get bad. You might die, be affected. It will affect your family and you. And so CTE just like makes it so your brain, your frontal lobe and the back, it causes you so you can't think well, and this is like a sharp pain in your brain, and it will hurt. It will hurt because I actually have a friend that had it, and he just said like before he was hit stage three, he just said it was the worst thing he could ever imagine. Like it's just like something squeezing your brain the whole time, and that's what CTE can do. Like it causes you to go crazy. That's what he was saying, and no one wants to go crazy. So, like if you can prevent it, why don't you? That's why I don't want it. So I choose to prevent it by wearing the right helmet, always keep my head on a swivel on the field, and never leaning head first in a game or to hit someone, because most people think, oh, it's just a little hit, but then the person's head will be spinning and spinning, and they can't get over that hit, and after a while, they just want to sleep, and that's another cause of CTE. CTE will cause you to want to sleep, and sleeping is bad when you have a concussion, because then you'll pass out or you get depressed. It's all this like different steps to it, there's different levels to CTE. And my sister coming out of she couldn't play soccer anymore because she actually she almost had CTE, and that caused her after high school she couldn't go on and play college even though she wanted to, because the doctor just said, well, you had too many concussions, just heading the ball and hitting people in the head in soccer. Like girls soccer gets like aggressive, and I didn't know that. Like, I'm like, how do you get so many concussions and I didn't get any in football, or as much as I thought I would? But it's just like it can happen to anyone. Doesn't matter how protected you are too, but at least you can prevent yourself from getting at that point to where you think, oh, I'm invincible. So never think you're invincible. It can happen to anyone. And head injury, your brain is very special. It has everything you need to survive. And to me, having a brain is a big part of my life, everyone's life. So take care of your brain. Like, that's gonna get you far in life. Thinking, knowing everything, on the field, off the field, just like me in school, on the field, thinking of the plays. You're gonna need that. You don't want to be slow and learning the plays, then you won't play at all. And CTE is like 100% of the brain is like impacted, and that's when you just go brain dead. And you can't really stop it, or there's nothing to stop it, or no cure for it. So that's why most people say if you get CTE, just like, I don't know, you just got to be positive about it, because there's nothing really you can do about it. Stay positive, and you won't be able to do the things you used to be doing. So that's the one thing they said. Just like Parkinson's disease, you're like 99.9% gonna die, and you don't want to die. So that's all.